and especially when the water comes up, and then we'll see crawfish. Crawfish will come out the swamps and be on the highway, and we can crawfish from the street.
That's awesome. Easy access. And then, because a little bit south of here, you end up, I forgot which lake it is.
The
But
salmon.
The Zalmans, okay, got
Yes.
it. The Zalmans Lake. And so, do people go fishing or?
Yes, that's a major part of the industry on the St. James side as well.
Bonjour et bienvenue à Louisiane, the only podcast 100% dedicated to Louisiana culture, communities, and our heritage French language. On Louisiane, we interview native speakers of Louisiana French and Creole, as well as culture bearers, including chefs, musicians, dancers, Mardi Gras practitioners, fishermen, artisans, and more. We need your support to keep our fight alive for Louisiana language and culture. Please support our show by going to louisiane.org and becoming a paying subscriber. Merci beaucoup et lâche pas. Lana Phillips, welcome to Louisiane. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci, vous.
Ça va très bien. Bien bon. Thank you so much. We're so happy to be here in Vacherie. It's a really special community here between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. And, we know you're a big leader in the community. And so we wanted to talk, just familiarize our audience with Vacherie, with this community. But I guess to start, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, je m'appelle Lana Phillips. I am a lifelong resident of South Vacherie. Now I currently live in Laplace, Louisiana, near the high school. But my heart still remains here. It'll always be here. And I come back as many times as they need me to be here. Most of my family either still resides here or are buried here, so that adds to the tradition of coming back. I still come to Our Lady of Peace Church and attend the church, so my ties are great here.
For people who don't know, how would you, if someone didn't know what Vacherie was at all, how would you describe this community, where it is, what it's all about, what the way of life is?
Slow, still slow. A lot of a slow pace is what I mean. People go to work. They raise their kids in the community. They get involved. They care about each other. The typical Southern town. Here we all, as far as race relations go, we always had a good relationship. We still maintain a good relationship. As you will see today, everyone comes together, and we do this every year for the senior citizens, and they look forward to it. We were worried about, people coming out today because it's kind of dreary and cold, but my money is on they're going to be here. They wouldn't miss this.
Definitely. And could you tell us a little bit about the history of the town, however much you know or familiar with, in terms of why was it founded originally? I know there's a lot of plantations around here. It's along the river.
Well, as far as the deep history, I really don't know a lot. I do know that the Phillip family played an intricate part of forming the Black School Board, as well as Good Children's Society. I know my dad and my grandfather and his brothers were part of the Knights of Peter Claver organization here. I know my dad was raised in St. Philip, which is about 10 minutes from here off of the River Road. And then he purchased a home here to move his mom and dad and himself and his siblings over. They came to Vacherie, and that's the most information that I have on where my family heritage began back Vacherie. But I do know that Edward Phillip, which is he's one of the founding persons on the plaque that you may have seen at the hall the first time you came. He's my great grandfather. So I do know we have, and my grandfather, Stanislaus Phillip, also served as president of Good Children Society for a period of time, and that's what was keeping me driven to keep that family tie involved in the community.
That's wonderful. And do you what did your grandparents do for work?
As far as I know, the older ancestors, they worked for the plantation farmers, planting cane, harvesting cane. My dad was a laborer, and when he retired, he prior to becoming a laborer, he did the same thing, became a laborer, lived a full career with that, and then he went back after retirement from there to driving tractors in the field till he just couldn't do it anymore.
Got it. Hard worker. And what kind of crops and stuff are grown on the plantations around here?
Sugarcane, sugarcane, and sugarcane.
And tell us, for people that don't know, tell us a little bit about the sugarcane economy and how it's raised and anything you know about it. Yeah.
Well, from what I remember, at a certain time after harvesting, the fields are prepared for the next season of planting. And when they plant the sugar cane, from what I remember, now it's more modernized with a lot of,
Machinery,
machinery
right.
and all. But what I remember was that they prepared the hoe, like a hoe was attached to the tractor, and they prepared the rows for the next planting season. When that happened, then they came with the sugar cane that they kept for themselves, for I guess like would be considered seedling now, and they went and they planted it row by row by row by hand, and you had several hands on hand to do this. And then once they planted it, then of course you had you know fertilizing periods and all. And I don't remember, I just know it took a long time for the sugar cane to grow. And once it grew, then again you came in with the tractors, with the big basket type tractors on, for them to store it in. As the tractor pulled it down the row, then they would cut hand by hand with the cane, what's the name of the knife? Cane knife.
Okay.
That should have been simple, but they came with the cane knife. They cut the sugar cane down by hand. Once it was cut down, they preserved it by burning it. And I hated that season. That's why I remember it so well. Once they did that, they loaded it into the tractors, brought it to the headland, and loaded it into the trucks to bring to the sugar house. Once they brought it to the sugar house, I do know that they unloaded it. They processed it, squeezing the juices out of the sugar cane. I don't know the process because I never went to the sugar house, but I know that from that's where they boiled it down. It became for molasses, brown sugar, white sugars, powdered sugars, and so on and so forth.
Yum. That's when we get to eat it.
Yes.
And then, so you still see a lot of sugarcane around here, but I guess with the machinery and stuff, are there fewer people now working?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
And what are the big jobs in industry out here?
Plants, chemical plants. As you could probably saw on your boat from coming from Baton Rouge to Vacherie, and from New Orleans coming to Vacherie, you will encounter plants along the way. And without this, it's almost like if the plants are the primary source of income now, and sugarcane is secondary, and I would say maybe even third in line to tourism. So
And why are there so many plants around here?
Land availability, I feel, was the driving force. The river being so close and accessible, and parish governments that's willing to work along with the plant situation.
And I know the plants can be controversial because on the one side there's job creation and income and bringing brought into the parish, but I know there's a lot of journalistic articles, et cetera, community work around potential pollution and negative impacts on the community. And so how do you balance that? How do you see it?
Well, that's a difficult question to start off with, because I do realize that without the plants, our community would be in trouble. But by that same token, because of some of the diseases that have come about because of the plants, I've lost close people to me. So I worked for the civil service. So that it neither affected me so much except the medical part of being around the plants. So I try not to think about it too hard.
Right. That's a complicated question.
It is.
And then you mentioned the river, and that's a key part of why the plants are here. What is Vacherie's relationship to the river?
Well, we're about, I guess, 5 to 10 miles from the river, straight access on Highway 20. It serves as entertainment sometimes because we have the bonfires at the holiday season, and if you haven't attended, you must. Even during the summertime, we have family and friends that live right across the street from the levee. And when I say entertainment, when I was younger, we used to take boxes to the levee, and cardboard boxes, and rip them and use them as sleds and slide up and down, yeah, well, down the levee, and then we run up and slide back down.
And then what is the elevation situation? Is it often I'm from New Orleans and often closer to the river, higher land? What is the situation here?
The same, because the closer you are to the levee, I find the less instances of flooding, neighborhood flooding you have. And actually, it's very few areas on the West Bank that experience a lot of flooding until recently, with new neighborhoods being built and their elevation being higher than the older communities. It's pushing the water more and more to the major highways. Now, the problem with that, and it's a major problem for the West Bank, is that we have one way in and the same way out. Highway 20 is it for us. So when that floods, you're trapped. And during Hurricane Ida, South Vacherie was trapped here for several days without being able to get in or out, or emergency being able to get in or out. So it's becoming a major subject.
Got it. And then what about, is South Vacherie more low-lying than Vacherie because it's further from the river, or how does that work?
Well, I think because it's an farming community as well, I think that helps with keeping it from being major like New Orleans, parts of Baton Rouge. Even I live in St. John Parish, and I live between the river and the lake, and we get flooded each and every time. Thank goodness my flooding is different than most people flooding, because I live on a part of St. John Parish that doesn't, we get water in the streets, but few get in the house, whereas other parts. But here, other than that, the Ida flooding and occasional, like I said, since there's new construction, that has become a problem. While I lived in Vacherie, it wasn't a problem.
Got it. that flooding, it's interesting. It's a big challenge for throughout Louisiana. And so then, speaking of like the waters and the natural environment, what kind of in the non-developed parts of Vacherie, what kind of environment is it, and what kind of trees and animals and stuff do y'all have?
Actually, not 2 miles from here, you can meet nature on its own. Because if you go straight up the highway past the church, you're entering an area that's near a canal and a swamp with like cypress trees are a big thing. Even on land and property, people preserve their trees. That if you're lucky enough to have a cypress, you preserve it and all because of its qualities that it has. Oh man, we see raccoons, squirrels, occasionally alligators. um, oh wow! A couple of times we saw deer. We see what we believe to be a coyote. We've seen. I would say snakes. Oh my goodness, snakes, rodents. And especially when the water comes up, and then we'll see crawfish. Crawfish will come out the swamps and be on the highway, and we can crawfish from the street.
That's awesome. Easy access. And then, because a little bit south of here, you end up, I forgot which lake it is.
The Zalman.
The Zalmans, okay,
Yes.
got it. The Zalmans Lake. And so, do people go fishing or?
Yes, that's a major part of the industry on the St. James side as well. We have the families that crawfish, fish, crab, and one of the families that grew up here have well, actually it's 2 now, but they have a restaurant and seafood market on River Road, not too far from the Laura plantation. And it's B&C restaurant and seafood market. And I remember as a child going to the lake and purchasing the seafood fresh out of the water before they moved to the market to the River Road. And it's, it's inexpensive. It was then inexpensive. And still today, in comparison to what we're paying for seafood, I think it's still a good value. And now we have another family. You passed the second family's business on your way here. When you turned off of 3127 onto 20, it's Chenier's that's at almost catty-corner to St. James High School. And they also have great products. Not just seafood, they also sell smoked foods and prepared foods at their location. So.
And then, so this is one of the reasons we're here is that it's a Creole community. And so tell us a little bit about growing up, what it meant to be Creole and understanding who in your family spoke Creole and all of that.
It means everything. It's the pride of where you came from, the heritage. It's the heritage of being Creole. That's our specialty. The food, the language, even if I don't speak conversational Creole, everyone says that they know I'm from Vacherie. Especially when I'm relaxing, that accent just comes out. When I'm angry, I'm 500 miles an hour with the accent. It's still coming out. The only time I think that I honed it in was working, because I was more aware of my surroundings, and you really couldn't tell I had that accent. But now that I'm retired, there's no need to hold back. I'm pretty sure you're picking up on that with every word I say.
Right.
Yeah.
what is the percentage, or is it a majority black community or a majority white community, or is it pretty mixed?
I think it's pretty mixed. Even in the areas, there's not an area that I would pick for back Vacherie that was predominantly either. We lived amongst each other. We played with each other. We went to school with each other. That's all I've ever known. So I can't speak on any other part of it.
Right. And so, but were your parents then, they must have gone to school before integration?
Yes.
Okay.
My dad got a third grade education, even though you would not know it, because he raised my my mom's household, our household. My mom was married twice. Her first husband was killed in an accident, and then he married my dad. She married my dad with 6 kids, and then they went on to have 2 more. So he took it all on with no question. He did great, and so it was like he had to leave school early to help take care of his siblings and help his dad take care of their household. My mom was always a homemaker, and she went to school until the 8th grade when opportunity ended for most people at her age. So, but despite that, they made sure that most of the kids, those that wanted to, put it like that, those that wanted to got a college education if they wanted it. And to think that's remarkable for people that never had a day of high school education, but you couldn't tell.
Right. It's all about passing it on. And so,
Yeah.
speaking of, education and youth and everything, what do you see as the future of Vacherie? What would you like it to be, and to make this community?
I think I would like it to remain a close-knit community before anything. But I also would like to see some more modernization than what we have, because we have a little local grocery store, but for any of the major chains, you still have to drive at least 20 to 30 minutes or longer to get to the stores and events that are out there. I would like to see us maybe have something that would draw the outside world more here other than plantations. We have little events with good children, and we do have outside communities come and support us to these events, but I would like to see the world become interested in Vacherie.
Definitely. And do young people stay here, or do they move to the big city, or?
Some do, most don't. And that's basically for a different career other than the plants or better pay. And education is another thing in this community that's vital. We have a lot of teachers in the community, but with the census of kids in the community, that makes you wonder how long that's going to be a viable source of income.
Because there's fewer kids.
Yes, yes, with each generation, because the parents are moving to different states, different communities for a better opportunity.
And what do you think of, what kind of jobs do you think you could have here? Or would you like to see? Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know. Because retail, we can't say retail because retail is not doing well right now. Medical, maybe. I think that would do well in this area because we have small clinics, but we don't have our closest hospital is 30 minutes away either way, because you have Télé-Louisiane or you have Lucha Louisiana is the closest, which involves you having to cross the river entirely to get there. Then for major facilities, you have Ochsner, but that's an hour away. You have Jefferson Parish, LCMC, and that's, again, at least an hour away. And then you have Terrebonne Medical and Thibodeau General, but again, 30 minutes or longer away. So, I wish that we would have some type of medical facility that would bring in the specialists that we go to see on a regular, maybe as a hub where they could come here rather than, because for everyone doesn't have a good source of transportation, a reliable source of transportation. So that would make it easier for them to get treatment early on in an illness rather than later when it's too late to do something about it.
Right, right. Medical is important. I also feel like there must be a way to bring in some of the, like, you know, they have all these microchip factories and stuff like that
Yes.
in Arizona and stuff, and apparently a lot of it depends on water, and so I feel like with the infrastructure of the plants, there could be some of that high-skilled, high-paid manufacturing
Yes.
and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yes. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
We're hopeful, but it's important to have such a community, like an organized and close-knit community that can work together,
Definitely.
you know, and support each other. So, okay, well, merci beaucoup, bien merci. This was wonderful. And we're excited to keep interviewing people, and thank you so much for helping us set this up.
Anytime. Anytime.
Okay, come to Vacherie, y'all. Merci beaucoup, Miss Lana.